Hey folks, this is Mickey G. And what does big booty reels on Facebook and Blaxploitation movies have in common? Probably not much, but me and Rodney talk about that and other stuff on this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. I think somewhere along the way on my Facebook feed, I got caught up into these reels where I guess
Oh
they have
yeah,
people,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
guess I got caught up into the big booty reel because
yeah.
everyone that I come across on my page. Now, I must admit, I've always been a very much an admirer of black ladies and they nice posteriors. But
Mhm.
even with me, sometimes I'm like, that's just too much.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. But see, they done adopted that. When you say you got that big A, now it is too big. You know,
yeah,
you want to think, when they told that lie when they used to come out and say fat PHAT. No, that don't
right.
describe you. You ain't there's a good thick and there's a bad thick. Me and my boys be
Thank
up
you.
here laughing about that sometimes. Roz will be tripping on us. I said, because Lynn got a warped sense of thick. No,
Right.
that's obese. Me and Philip be up here like, hell no. but,
Yeah.
but there's some. Now I'm on the reels too, man. I used to ignore them, but now I can't seem to pass them because once you slide them over, like, oh, I need to see what's on there.
That I'm same way. And I've been surprised at, and I guess once again that's an example of that westernization. How many are African
Oh yeah,
women?
yeah,
That
yeah.
I'll be looking and I say, well, they talking or something, music's playing. So let me listen to what's going on. And I'm like, and then it say like at the bottom, it'll say something like countries in Africa. Like, yeah, they've been westernized.
Mm-hmm.
Still is too, because I was surprised how many. I thought they were all Americans,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
there's a ton of them that are from Africa, and like I say, they have ample booty and then some.
Yeah, yeah. And but some of the humor I can't get with. I don't get it. And then they have all that laughing and going on.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
know, I done been on there on a few, and I've said no, don't show me no more of this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I even had to do that on my laptop with the. I don't know why all of a sudden I started getting all these animals and snakes and shit. I'm like, why? Where did this come from? So I've been deleting a bunch of them, saying, no, don't send me no content like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to open up and look dead at a snake.
Yeah. Well, see, you hit me to that because see, I didn't know how to do that
Yeah.
because I remember we were talking about that before, and I'm like, I don't know why. I think I told you I was getting all these stories on Elvis Presley, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I know for damn well I ain't asked for nothing on Elvis Presley,
Right.
and I'm like, well, and I remember you telling me them three little dots up there. You got to go up there and tell it to
Mm-hmm.
hide them stories from me, and I've started doing that. I started going through it as I see stuff, and like I don't know why I'm even getting this. I put hide whatever, and then it comes up and says sort of like why, irrelevant,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I'm like, what difference does it make? This is my page.
Right.
As long as I say hide it, hide it. But no, you got to answer why.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, boy. They infringe on everything now, man.
Yeah, because I was listening to this one story they had during last month during Black History Month about the the country music industry and how it's been almost a very much segregated industry forever. With
Mm-hmm.
having their tokens like Charlie Pride and a couple other that sort of was able to break through and have some success and things. And they had this one group on there this duo that was trying to break into the country music, and I said, well, I know you're trying to break the color barrier, but this duo was a couple of gay black guys.
Oh Lord.
And I said, it's hard enough trying to break that barrier, being black.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I said, I know my boy Little Nas X and everything sort of went
Mm-hmm.
over the line a little bit, and able to have some success. I said, but, that's going to be a tough sell.
Oh yeah, but hell,
You know?
they were boycotting him. They were. I was reading on either on just my Vine or I don't know if it was on Facebook or not about how some of the country and Western audiences were boycotting why they were there, and then there's some female that sings that's black
Yeah.
and has had
Hmm.
some success, and they were complaining about her. And it was about 3 or 4 acts they had on there that I didn't even know were country and Western or didn't know anything about them. But yeah, they didn't have their backlash.
Yeah.
You know.
I tell you, it's a tough genre to get into when you realize all the obstacles you're going to run into. And I mean, they've had even their own internal. I mean, they were one of those music genres that was hard to change. You know, when these new guys came along that was not singing about, you know, my wife left me, my dog bit me, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. They had backlash. You know, that ain't country music. That ain't the way a country music's supposed to be. Well, you got to realize time change. You
That's
know,
right.
if you know, if you had asked me back in the day, rap would never have existed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't ask me. They would. That was the time things changed, and things have even changed, you know, till today. But yeah, they've even had their own problems with, you know, white musicians as they move through the times. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of those things that, especially with country music, so much of those old heads have all died off now that they don't have that kind of backlash like they used to.
Well, and if they knew the history of it, country and Western comes from the black neighborhood and the black experience. Because, you know, they used to sit around there with them little old things and play. And well, my grandmother used to live down there. We used to call it the country down there, man. That's all they did was have that little banjo-like thing and
Mm-hmm.
twanging and going on. So all of that really derived from that because and then when you look at all the genres of music, they've changed it to try to fit their mold. Because rock and roll, that was Little Richard and them, and that was all them people before. That's what rock and roll was. Then they co-opted, started calling them pop, but they co-opt rock and roll. So because they had them damn guitars on there, just that wasn't rock and roll. Rock and roll was almost like a bebop,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so they change it. You know, it's just like, what the hell is pop music? You know, when you confused about where you don't want to put it over here, but you don't want to not put it over here, so we'll just create a genre, pop music. We ain't grow up on no damn pop music. It was either soul or R&B. We called it soul music, but that was R&B.
Right.
But the American Bandstand crew and them, all them created that mess, you know, about being pop music. Hey, Michael Jackson wasn't no pop. Hell, Michael Jackson was a soul singer, an entertainer. But that's what they do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it. You know, when artists started to cross over, you know,
Mm-hmm.
back in the day, you know, then they had to find some niche to put them in. You know, because
Mm-hmm.
at one point, if you were a black singer, you were R&B. I don't care what you. Well, I can say that back. They probably had R&B and gospel. Blues was almost unaccepted, and
Mm-hmm.
jazz, it was a genre, but it was almost, you couldn't get in the mainstream if you sang the blues. You couldn't get in the mainstream if you played jazz. You
Mm-hmm.
had to be R&B or gospel. That's about the only two, you know, that really got any kind of decent recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, all that stuff started to change, you know, through the years as, you know, the blues became more acceptable. You know, as jazz. You know, they used to call jazz the devil's music. You know, because they played a lot of jazz in the saloons and
Mm-hmm.
the halls and things of that nature, and the blues. You know, they used to talk about that. But you know, things change over time. But yeah, if you go back to the roots, you'll find out. Just like I was telling you about that doo wop thing. When you
Mm-hmm.
go back to the roots, that's where it came from.
Yep,
You know,
that's right. Well,
but
they've always relabeled things to suit their, because especially with the advent, like you just said, of crossover. That means money was to be made. So we got to try to figure out a way how we can get in and fit in that situation. You know, but it's more like this is kind of off the subject, but it's kind of in the same light as you know on Gunsmoke. Hell, they had Miss Kitty as a lady. Miss Kitty was the hoe.
Yeah.
They trying to make her all respectable and shit, you know. Shit, her saloon dress was coming off quite a bit too.
Yeah.
Matt just
Yeah.
didn't want none, you
Well,
know.
and that's what I'm saying. Who was her supposedly pursuer?
Yeah,
The sheriff,
yeah,
Matt Dillon.
yeah,
But that was okay.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that was okay.
Like, man, we've been sitting up here talking about Miss Kitty all this time. Yeah, there's a reason why she's called Miss Kitty.
Yeah, but it just makes you wonder when you look back and think about shows like that is how they sort of sugarcoated something that was really immoral, if you look at it,
Right.
and things of that nature. And even if you look back at the whole genre of the westerns and stuff, they, like you said, they were in the saloon, they were drinking whiskey,
Yeah.
just like go up to the barkeep, give me whiskey,
Yep.
no big deal.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden it evolved to a point to where you couldn't even hardly make it seem like you were drinking alcohol. I
Right.
mean, they'd cover the name of a beer can and they would, do all that kind of stuff. But so I'm like, how do you go from something so, like I say, immoral, if you will, to something to where it's like, oh yeah, we got to cover up the cover, the name of the beer can. We can't really let it know that that's beer or whatever, But yeah, that's sort of our society over the years.
Yeah, man. Well, the powers to be are going to make sure that they get to look in the best light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like every time you see anything negative on here about anything, be it your health or whatever. If it's on a negative tip, it's gonna be a black actor in there on the commercial, and I'm like, well, why? Well, even so much so, just like when I ain't got no that gay people have their rights and they more power to them and all that. But why is it that all the gay stuff that come on TV now is black dudes kissing and going on?
Yeah, I sort of noticed that on that commercial for that HIV medicine
Yeah.
that the ads they ran for that. Yeah, I
Oh,
noticed that sort of popped out at me the first time I started seeing those commercials. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
eh.
And it gives that subliminal message like it's only black people,
Right, right.
And I'm like, man, this is getting to be a bit much. It's just like they planting the subliminal message now. All you see is sisters with white dudes now. Even with the families, used to
Mm-hmm,
be they
mm-hmm.
had their little old code. They'd have a white family there. If they had a sister in there, she was by herself to give you the impression that she ain't got no husband. She got some kids, but we had one down that used to piss me off, man. I used to call down to Cox Communications, man. Nobody would ever, I couldn't get nowhere, but I'm like, because that's exactly what they did on the Cox commercial. They were showing how you can get your entertainment through Cox, and husband and wife, white family. Uh, the 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 black woman and the Hispanic woman didn't have no husband. They just had kids.
Right.
And I'm like, now that is just out and out blatant, of a stereotype. So yeah, man, this little idiot box influenced a whole lot.
And that's the main thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
It does influence a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
And I know these days, there's more opportunity to see, especially with all these streaming channels and things. So I know the girls are all into that Netflix and all that kind of stuff. They're all
Right.
in that kind of stuff. And like I say, my listening to TV is so limited that I don't even know about all that stuff. As a matter of fact, I was going out to Netflix the other day for a little D to look at one of his little uh, cartoon kind of video thing, and I'm trying to go down through the list of all the stuff that's on the TV. And he said, Papa, you can just push the button right there, right? I said, oh, okay. No, I didn't know you could just push the button right there on the remote. I'm going through the whole list on the TV, So that shows you how limited my time is with
Oh, I'm
going out
with
for
you.
anything that's not mainstream on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's changed the whole perceptions of things. And And I know there's a point there where they're trying to look like they're all inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, how you be that all inclusive can make a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put a bunch of black folks on TV and make them all look like a bunch of fools just to say, look how
Yeah.
inclusive we are.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. I don't, you know, they diversity departments haven't caught up because I'm pretty sure that's still the least diverse department they got in TV. And but sometimes you can try too hard. Just let it be natural,
Yeah, yeah,
and not, you know, the stereotyping goes into a lot of different areas. You can stereotype. I mean, just like with, why is it, if you have a show where there's an ensemble of people, the black person ain't gonna never have no mate. All the other people got mates. They don't never have one. Or that old adage, remember when they used to have on there, the black dude gonna die first. That they just take it to the extreme. We were so glad back in the day when we had somebody that lived through the whole movie. We were like, hey, brother made it. So it's just so, some of the stuff. I'll tell you one, and I like Said the Entertainer, but that show he's got, The Neighborhood,
yeah.
man, it is just so full of stereotypical BS that I can barely watch it, man. And I caught it a couple of times here within the last month. I don't know how. I guess I must have been just turning the station there. And then I guess part of it too for me is that laugh track. That laugh track, that's so 1960, 70s to me, you're gonna prompt people when to laugh, huh? If it's funny, it's funny. But hey, I'm glad the brother got a job. But
Yeah. Well, that's just like I see that commercial now for, I think it's Progressive Insurance. It has
yeah.
the dad from I don't know what the name of the show is. The one that Steve Urkel was on.
Yeah.
They I forgot what his name is, but they got that brother on there as a dad figure.
Oh
They
yeah, I
got,
done picked it
goes
up.
around and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, now if you really think about it, I said he treated Urkel like shit.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
did.
I said, now if you really looked at someone that you would consider to be a good dad, I don't think he would be an example because of just how he treated treated poor Urkel. Now, I know it's a TV show and
Sure.
that's how it was supposed to be. I said, but if you look at the stereotype, he treated him terribly.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, everybody always asks, where was Urkel's parents?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if on an episode if they ever showed it, but it gave you the impression that his home life was so bad that he never wanted to be home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is funny how you can look at things like that, and I'm like, Mickey, this is just a commercial. Why are you getting so damn deep into a commercial? But I said, yeah, I just thought about it. He's portraying the image of a perfect dad in these commercials and giving advice and all this kind of stuff in the commercial. But if you
Mm-hmm.
think about his role in that sitcom, he wasn't a very good dad when it
No,
comes
not at
to how
all.
he treated him.
That's right. Yeah, man. It's it wouldn't be a big deal if we didn't just have limited roles. Are they're getting to be a little more prevalent now. But back then, boy, if you had one or two black people on a successful show, that was the only one that was on.
Hmm. Hmm.
We didn't. Uh, uh, that's one of the things that I didn't like about Spike Lee when he was, jumping on my man down there in Atlanta. What's his name?
Oh, Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. Talking about that's buffoonery. Well, you know what? Black folks been doing buffoonery for a long time, Mug. It's the only reason you there. But everything ain't got to be. Some things are for entertainment only. It ain't got to be a documentary or autobiography of somebody, which is what he was doing. But he's calling everybody else. There's room for everybody. I want to see. I want to see some just mind numbing entertainment. Sometimes I don't want to have to learn no lesson you know.
Yeah.
And as you can find out, you limited yourself by getting caught up in that because you ain't done nothing and I don't know when now. You know.
Well, the thing that bothered me about that when he came out against Tyler Perry and stuff, and same thing. I thought we stopped being portraying men portraying women and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, but what about School Days? What about Woman? What Woman Got to Have It?
Yeah.
One of his first movies came with was all about this black girl that all she wanted was sex and things
Yep.
of that nature. And then School Days, which was dealing with the fraternities, sororities, and things, the light skin versus the black
Yeah.
skin,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, what was that then?
Mm-hmm.
Very stereotypical. Because that wasn't the norm when it came to things. Not every black woman was so sex obsessed that that's all she wanted to do and things of that nature. But now you want to turn around and be some kind of moral compass for
Yeah.
somebody who's portraying. To me, I looked at it as he was portraying a woman, yeah, but he was portraying the kind of woman that most families can look back and say, that's ain't so and so, or that's
You.
ain't so and so. There's someone sort of like that in every family, sort of loud and over the
Oh
top
yeah. Yeah.
kind of person. And I said, when are we going to get to the point to where we say, I might not necessarily like the concept of his movies or his plays or whatever it may be. Hey, but brother, you do your thing. I'm gonna be there for you.
Yes, sir.
We
Yes, sir.
just seem like we can't get to that point to where we can accept somebody being different than what we consider to be our norm or whatever, and say, I'm gonna be there for you. Now, once again, that's not to say that just because the person is black or the theme is black that I'm gonna always jump on and say, yeah, I'm gonna be right there for it. I mean, there's some things you talk about said show stuff like that. There's some times I'm gonna say, well, no, I know you're a black person, I know you're a black producer or filmmaker, whatever, but I don't really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I mean, I think we can sort of agree to disagree, but still be there to support. If that's the way you want to go in your career, I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to support you because I've got a different concept. That don't mean yours is wrong, and that
Right.
don't mean mine is right.
That's right. There's room for all of us here.
There's room for differences.
That's right.
Exactly right.
And I you start messing with some iconic situations now, just like aren't we tired of men playing women and all that? Well, now you going back on it wasn't her, but because she was a woman, she didn't show, but she Tyler Perry. I don't know this, but I would assume he loosely based his character on Mom's Mabley because I can see her in him,
Right.
in doing that. But if you want to go back, and I'm sure some before what I knew, but you go back to Flip Wilson playing a
Yeah.
woman,
Very much so.
yeah, you got all kinds. There's a few more. Actually, I just saw a deal on Facebook about that, and they had about 12 of them that they showed on there who had played men playing female roles. I can't think of them right now, but hell, that's a part of acting. Hell, what was his name? Jack Lemmon played a woman.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? That played Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of them in there. You start talking crap like that, man. You touching on a bunch of toes. If it's within the story and it makes it funny, cool. I mean, everybody know that he ain't no damn woman. So I don't know. Spike Lee, I think his was based on jealousy because there for a while he was the new and upcoming and the only one on the scene. Then when he started having to share the pie, then he all of a sudden gets critical and shit. Because
Yeah.
prior
Yeah.
to that, Spike Lee was the only one that was the majority population giving that one. Y'all got one. You can't have two. Same thing with actors and shit and actresses. We get one, and then if the other one comes along, then you pit them against one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Will Smith and what he did to old boy, that just fit right into the program with them. Chris Rock. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's always been, with Wesley Snipes. It's only one, and then when he gets done, and now everybody is getting off Denzel because Denzel getting up there, getting a little age. But I tell you what, if you keep making them movies about being that undercover guy kicking ass, I sure will be watching it because I like that little series there. But they go from Denzel now. It's all that boy in Creed. It's only one at a time. We're gonna give one
Yeah.
of you. We can't.
Michael P. Jordan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We can't have, like, I can't even think of three white boys that's in the movie, but they have all of them up there. They be stars all at the same time. You know, and I was reading today where they were showing back in the late uh, the late 40s and early 50s when my man had his TV show. Good God Almighty! Well, my memory is something, but uh, God, he's one of the first black dudes to ever have a show. Um, Damn, he was a singer though. Nat King Cole.
I was gonna say, did you say Nat King Cole?
Yeah, Nat King Cole had that show. I vaguely kind of remember it because that was back in the days when if a black person was on TV, everybody in the neighborhood was trying to watch it.
Right.
Who had TV? But I was reading a little article on him on Facebook today where they showed when he had his show, no sponsors would pick it up, and he was the only one at that time that was on the big time scale, and
Right.
he said he canceled his own show. He said, "Hey, I ain't gonna even do it then. No sponsors would get there." And but during that time, they had all kind of people, but they were on the chitlin circuit, and they were on the black circuit, as they would. Even just naming shows just because black people in. Oh, that's a black movie. You don't say it's a white movie when it's all white people. And but yeah, man, this, and then there's no bias, there's no racism. Please, that movie industry is one of the biggest racist groups that there are.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think this year alone they was showing how when Jamie Lee Curtis got that award
Mhm.
and Angela Bassett was sitting back looking like, "Are you kidding me?"
Mhm.
you know. So yeah, it's always been because once again, it's a very subjective
Yeah, it is.
area, and if you got people that are leaning one way or the other, it's going to always be like that. And I know you get into that situation like if you go back to the days of the Blaxploitation movies.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, what do you do? We can't get into mainstream movies. There's those tokens, and I should say tokens. I mean, they were good actors. When I look at people like Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte, those kind of people, they were good actors. So I don't by no means want to take that away from them. But like you say, there were few and far between.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you come out with an opportunity to have movies that have practically entirely black cast.
Hmm.
Now, the subject matter and things of that nature probably wasn't the best situations, but I think they were looking at the point of what else are we going to do? We
Yeah.
can't play roles where we're presidents and doctors and lawyers and those kind of things. We're just going to go out there and just sort of show the world what a lot of our neighborhoods are like.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
definitely.
it was a reflection of life at that time, at that point.
Hmm.
So you sort of
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
That's just like I think it was my brother that said it to me. He was talking about when Jamie Foxx came out was playing president. I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
so
And just not to cut you off, another person who played a woman
yeah,
a lot,
exactly,
a lot.
yeah, exactly." And but I said, anytime they have a black man cast as the president, something is wrong. The United States getting overthrown, or the world coming to an end, or something. I mean, that subliminally in his own self is a message.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
almost
yeah,
like hell and froze over and said. But yeah, a couple of movies. I think the other one was when the old brother getting old. I saw him on something on the View today. He getting old. Uh, that plays God all the time.
Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah, he
Yeah,
played as the
yeah.
president, and shit was hitting the fan. I'm like, boy, listen to this.
And it seemed like in a lot of those movies or TV sitcoms or whatever they may be, if indeed there's a black person who is the president, seem like there's always a white something,
Oh,
undersecretary, secretary, personal aide, or whatever, that seem like that's giving out the advice and
oh
things.
yeah.
It's not a situation where that president is making those tough decisions and everybody knows he's the person. Seem like there's always some sidekick that they have to have.
Oh, you know it.
You know,
You know
so
it.
yeah, it's funny how that happens, but I guess as I always say, if you expect to wake up one day and all of society is equal, you definitely living in a dream world.
You better know it.
You just have to.
It'll never be equal because today it might be people of color, and tomorrow it might be people with blonde hair. They're gonna find somebody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's never going to be that way. So you just, like you say, you take things as you can. You're talking about Spike Lee and Tyler Perry. Spike Lee's sort of came up with a silver spoon. He's from a pretty affluent family, and they sent him to school to be movies producers and all those kind of things. That wasn't where Tyler Perry came from. I mean, he, as they say, was sleeping in his car at one time, just trying to pursue his dream. And I think that just his story alone to me is enough to he gets my respect from that. They say this cat shaft is a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Y'all young kids don't know nothing about that. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. Join us next time. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.